I'm around college students a lot. I see a little bit of older folks, so I figured it'd be better if I tell a little bit about my grandmother. She's 92 years old, and she went to the casino last year by herself while having a heart attack. I was like, Granny, why didn't you go to the hospital? And she was like, oh, I was winning. What do you want from me?
You don't really think of comedy as having real power to it. When you're particularly vulnerable, as I was at the end of my high school career and trying to find myself at the beginning of college, being able to turn to humor to build connections with people and validate a sense of self, to be able to harness that for the military community, it felt like a really unique thing to be able to do. I grew up in suburban Waspy, Connecticut, with not a ton of exposure, not a ton of diversity. I didn't realize how sheltered I was until I got to college. So I went to see one of the most popular improv groups on campus, IT, improvisational theater. And that's when improv came on my radar as something that might be really great for me.
Safety, 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 danger, danger! Show me, Dad! Start on the hip, start on the hip.
I think the biggest impact that IT has had on me is finding that sense of self that makes you stand upright when you walk around campus or gives you permission to take a risk or something, and I hadn't found that yet.
This is it!
I performed at an event called Movements, which also featured some veteran performers. That performance was the first time that Sam saw me.
We had this conversation. It's like, hey man, I want to do stand-up comedy class for veterans. She's like, I'm in. I've had a lot of students who said they were into it and then they fell off the map. Ryan was like on it the next day, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be someone good to work with.
I didn't know at the time, but that was my foray into this project that has been such a formative part of my college years. So Comedy Bootcamp is an 8-week stand-up course for members of the military community. We offer it free of charge. It's instructed by professional comedians, and through the support of student volunteers, we give sort of veterans and service members a chance to learn the craft of stand-up, which ultimately culminates in a public graduation show.
If there's a middle-aged man...
We thought what was unique about stand-up is that people can learn to tap into a sense of voice and a sense of self that they might not been able to do otherwise. And in a classroom setting, you can work with others to hone in on that voice.
Now, if a machine talks to me, I'm going to talk back. When I program my GPS, I pick the English accent voice. Richard, the deep male voice.
We're not teaching people to be funny. What we teach is the craft of stand-up and how to take one's inherent funniness and translate that in a stand-up way.
The GPS bit was a great example of an awesome premise with a setup, and then you did some listing. And so that was a great integration of these techniques. I think you could attach even a funnier name to it, like Richard Wilmington von Strassenberg VIII, or something crazy like that.
I don't know what it's like to have the lived experience of military veterans. Before I had any direct contact, I had very stereotyped conceptions of the veteran population, and that wasn't coming from a place of malintent, but just a lack of exposure. I was originally really worried that as a 22-year-old college kid, that I would not be able to relate to these folks at all. If you've literally been in the trenches, how can you appreciate someone whose biggest stress is how they're going to do on their math exam on Monday? And I was worried that it would be disrespectful to share myself with them. I realized pretty quickly that that was a real misguided view. Being able to actively build that bridge and engage with people, and you find those sense of commonalities, it begins to really break down that stigma that I think prevents a lot of our community members from feeling wholly validated when they try to reintegrate back into society. Through this program, I've learned a lot about the lives of the comics that we've met through Comedy Bootcamp, and that's made the sacrifice of service so much more real to me. It's my generation that are going to be making future decisions about this country. I felt that it was really important to learn from the people who answer the call.
Then I come back and give my family
The programs that ASAP offers, ultimately, I consider it a big thank you. We tailor it for this particular community because there's something special about it. I just want people to know that the choices that they've made in their service, it has real impact and it's really appreciated.